It's really nice to see you today in Chatty Children. What's your name and where do you work?
Well, my name's Sharon Bassett and I work for A-Star Sports.
Do you make trophies?
I don't make the trophies. There's a lovely little company on the internet that makes them for me. What they do is makes the special little badges that go in the middle that say A-Star Sports, and they engrave them at the bottom with a special message as well.
How long have you been doing your job?
Well, I've been a sports coach for about 6 years, but we developed A-Star Sports at the end of 2011. So I've been doing sports a long, long time, and I did a lot of sports for pleasure before that, lots of different teams I played in.
Is your work just based in community centres or do you work outside too?
We sometimes work outside, but a lot of our equipment is what we call junior equipment, and it's sponge-based, so that if it hits you on the nose, it doesn't hurt. That's the main thing. Especially when we play things like dodgeball, where we're throwing the balls at each other and we're the targets, aren't we? So we do things outside, though, especially in the summer, for things like school fairs and sometimes birthday parties too.
What sports can we do at A-Star Sports?
Well, we could do lots of different ones, but the core ones that we try and concentrate on are things like basketball and cricket, dodgeball, football, handball, hockey, rounders, rugby, volleyball and tennis, as well as lots of different skills and games around those things.
What's your favourite sport?
Well, I kind of have two. My favourite one to play is rugby. So that would be tag rugby when we do it at A-Star Sports. And my favourite one to coach, though, is basketball.
What do children have to do if they want to come to A-Star Sports?
Well, the first thing that they do, usually speak to mum and dad, and they can have a look on the internet, on our website, and to see if there are some local classes near to you. And then they usually call people like me or my colleague Adrian, who does the classes in the Wrexham area as well, and to see if we've got some spaces in our classes. Because sometimes we have small classes, which are about 10 or 12 children, and sometimes they can fill up quite quickly, and sometimes we have lots of spaces.
Where do you do the classes?
Well, locally round here, we have them in Gresford Memorial Hall on a Monday, in St Margaret's Church and Community Hall on a Wednesday, in Kenyon Hall in Holt on a Monday, in Overton Village Hall on Tuesdays, in Brimbo we have them at the Enterprise Centre on Mondays, and in Easton Oswestry Community Centre on Wednesdays, but there's more coming.
Is that only in the school holidays?
Now, all of those are during term time for weekly classes, but we are looking at different places where we can run holiday clubs too.
How old do you have to be?
Well, the very youngest children that come to our weekly classes, they're about 2.5, and the oldest ones are 10 or 11 that come to our weekly classes. Then we have holiday clubs, which are slightly different, and the children who come to those have to be 3 and above.
Do they need to wear a uniform?
No, not at all. We do have T-shirts that have a big star on the front that says A-Star Sports, but we don't say that you have to wear that every time or anything like that. So people come in different things.
What number do we call if we want to join?
Well, the best number to call, which will always get somebody on the other end, is 0845 459 2210. And the reason I say that is because if it's my number or if it's Adrian's number and we're coaching, we can't answer the phone and coach rugby or basketball or football at the same time, can we? So we have a special number where everybody can call and there's always somebody on the other end.
What is the website address?
Okay, you can find us at www.a-starsports, that's starsports.co.uk.
Can everybody come and join in your classes?
Absolutely, everybody can come and join in. We make them really inclusive and we have lots of adaptable games. So even if running's a bit tricky or if catching's a bit tricky, then we can find a way around that with our special equipment and our really creative games.
How do we get one of those trophies that you were talking about earlier?
Well, what we try to do is really make a big deal of the things that are good in sports, and that is trying your best and working well in teams and supporting other people, showing how well that you can learn things and put them into practice. Lots of things like that which are very good spirited within sports, and those skills as well are also really good when you're at school and later on when you're lots older at work.
Has anybody in your club ever been in like a really big competition?
Yep, some of them have. In fact, we've got children that have been chosen to play tennis in the North Wales area at the sort of county levels. We've got children who in Chester have been chosen to go over to Manchester United and Everton even for football. And we've got some children that have really taken to things like dodgeball and basketball and joined various leagues there with them. So there are lots of things. What we try and do is introduce children to different sports so that they can make a choice about the junior clubs that they might like to join afterwards if they want to continue. So when they move on from the A-Star Sports programme, they can sometimes choose perhaps volleyball that they didn't really know about from school or other places, but they found out about A-Star Sports and want to do more of it.
Do you ever do work in schools, so like teach the teachers and the children how to play?
Quite often we do. It's not our core business. Our core business is the weekly classes that we run, which are extracurricular. So the preschool and the nursery children come before school times and the school children come after school times. But we have a community support programme where we usually say about twice a month we go into either a school or a group like Cubs and Beavers and Brownies, where we'll go in for free. And we'll help them out. And sometimes, like with the Brownies and things, they do badges. So we do like a fitness badge and things. Or in schools, we can go in and show them lots of different games. A lot of the time with equipment that it's not very complicated. There's not a lot of it. So when you have 30 children or even 40 children, there are lots of activities that you can do very easily. And we try to share that information, in our community support programme.
What gave you the idea to call it A-Star Sports?
Well, there's some very, very funny reasons and some business reasons too. And the funny reasons are that all of us that got together to do A-Star Sports wanted stars of some kind. And we wanted where you had levels so we could have different coloured stars. And it was almost like reach for the stars. So there was no limit on what you could achieve if you wanted to do sports and do it well. And then there was also a business reason, which is when you have to register your business, it has to be a name that nobody else has. It has to be unique to you. And we found out that A-Star Sports was one that we could have that would be unique to us. So what's your favourite sports to play and why? Why do you like them?
Well, I quite like netball because it gets you running about and it helps you with your throwing and everything. And I think it's a good game to play with friends.
Excellent. What about you, Faris?
My favourite game is football because you practice dribbling the ball and it gets your feet working very quickly.
Good. And Rhiann?
I like dodgeball because it helps you to learn to throw more easily.
So Rhiann, which A-Star Sports session do you go to?
I go to the one on Chester Road in St Margaret's Church Hall.
And your coach is?
Mark.
And what do you like about those sessions?
That they're really fun, and we sometimes have a bit of a joke around when we're not doing when we're not doing sports, when we're waiting for our turn.
When you're waiting for your turn, you have your news break as well, don't you, where you tell Mark what you've been doing all week.
What's the funniest story you've had at work whilst working at A-Star Sports?
One of the memorable stories was my class on a day. It was a year one class and they were coming in having had a careers day at school, and they were all wearing different outfits which represented the career that they would like to have when they grew up. And I could tell when they were coming in, we had some firemen and we'd had a little boy in a suit, and I said, "Oh, you're wearing a suit today, George. What's the suit for?" I said, "I want to be an accountant." And then somebody else came in and they looked quite smart, and I said, "Well, what would you like to be, Joanna?" And she said, "I'd like to be a teacher." And I said, "Well, what would you like to teach?" And she said, "Children." And of course I meant, what subject would you like to teach? Thinking she might have said, "Oh, I'd like to teach maths," or "I'd like to teach English." No, she said, "Just children."
Thank you very much for coming in and talking to Chatty Children today.